Oh, Restream.
I was thinking that wasn't the scene you wanted to go to, but okay.
No, that was not the stream, or that was.
Or we got at least a
Nice music.
Yeah, well, thank you. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing?
Morning.
We're good. Now that
Morning.
the music pumped us up, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, well, welcome to the stream, Marty. How are you, sir?
I am very good. I'm very good. It's a bit late at night over here, but I'm not that tired. I'm raring to go. Enthusiastic, Chris. It's the first time I've been here.
Well, we're so excited to have you, and we're just because people can't necessarily tell from the background that we have special for every guest in your wonderful location. Where are you coming from?
I am coming from Brisbane in Australia, so I'm not quite in Sydney, a little bit away from Sydney. Brisbane's just up the east coast a little bit, but so quite a long way from where you are. And it's Fabric Fridays, but in half an hour for me, it'll be Fabric Saturdays.
oh, it's that late. Wow.
Straddling the line.
Yeah, this is our first Fabric Saturday that we'll have done. That's quite exciting. We should mark that up. So yeah. Oh, and hey, look, it's it is a real-time live stream. Yes, Johnny Winters is in the house. Welcome, Johnny. Good to see you. In fact, I am sporting Johnny's brand new Grayskull Analytics t-shirt.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, nice.
And freaking tastic. Yes. A quick little drop. I'll post the link if you want your own. You can go ahead and you can get it on this website in the link in the description. So do check that out.
Right, I
Use
just
Kratos
clicked
BI
on who
for
you were
0%
talking about
off.
there.
What's that, Marty?
I just clicked on who you were talking about there. I've not met the guy, but yeah, I've seen him on LinkedIn and quite a few other places. Quite enjoy his content. So hello.
Johnny's awesome.
Yeah. Yes, Johnny's great. The most MVP, non-MVP that I know. So other than Jared. Jared's, yes, Jared as well. Yeah.
Not me taking notes.
So, Marty, can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure can, Chris, sure can. So I've been in the analytics. Well, I'll just tell you personally about myself. So I'm actually from the UK initially. I probably spent about the first 20 years of my life, 20 odd years of my life in the UK. And then moved to New Zealand. I met my wife in a pub in London. She's actually from New Zealand. So I moved over there, spent about 15 years over there, had 2 kids over there. And then moved to Australia, spent a bit of time in Melbourne. And I've spent the last 5 years in Brisbane. I moved up to Brisbane right before COVID, which was really lucky. I had no idea COVID was going to happen. It was a month before. And then Melbourne got locked down really badly. And
to be fair, there's only a handful of people that knew that it was coming, but
I know.
We won't go into that in this live stream.
All right, that's okay. But professionally speaking, so I've been doing data mainly on the Microsoft platform for probably about 20 years. So I started off in the SQL Server space. My first job was a database developer, so T-SQL, and I still really like writing T-SQL itself. So I spent about 10 years working for Statistics New Zealand. They did the census, the CPI figures, GDP, all that sort of thing. I had a lot of roles there. We're in and around SQL Server, so DBA, developer, SSIS, reporting services, all that sort of thing. And then when I moved over to Australia about 10 years ago, I kind of transitioned that into Azure, sort of working on, Azure database, all those sort of things. Little bit of Power BI, but as we might talk about later, I'm pretty useless at Power BI. And then Fabric came along. What about? I know you're all Power BI people, but if you ever seen a dashboard that I created, you would, I don't know, you just wince.
It sounds like my first intern job was actually to take some DBA generated reports and turn them into prettier Power BI reports. So
they need to be a lot prettier. Yeah. Yeah. So I stayed doing the Azure stuff for quite a while. And then about 3 years ago or so now, Fabric went into private preview, and I got onto that with obviously quite a few of you people. And then it went GA about 6 months, a year later, and I've been doing that ever since. Still dip my toe into the Azure world, the SQL world. I don't know, consulting's like this wide, and yeah.
So how many months later was that? 6, 7?
I don't know. Didn't we get in a private preview? It was about November, and then it went GA maybe about July. I don't know.
Sorry, Marty. Are you not in on the 6, 7?
Oh, okay. No, I'm not in on this.
Oh my word! I've never felt so embarrassed.
So for those of you that don't watch sports, Fox NFL last week, I think it was last week or the week before, just kept throwing it in their entire broadcast.
Are you serious?
So in their like the show before the games, and then a little bit during the games. It was interesting.
So this is. Go ahead, Jared.
I had a fun moment with that yesterday. So yesterday I was running my session on teaching people T-SQL. And so I was running a bunch of demos and such out of SSMS, and people were asking, like, what's a really easy way to generate a query of, like, grab a table with all the columns? So I did, select top 1,000, except I recently made an adjustment to my SSMS settings because you can set this of what your top X rows are returned, and I set it to 6, 7. So then I had to be like, yeah, I'm that guy.
Yeah. To dig a little deeper, 6, 7 is something kids do, right? They freak out over 6, 7, and anyone above the age of 13 probably is very disconnected from it. And the way you quash it is for us old people to embrace it, and then it ends. Like
we think it's cool too. Now nobody does.
Yeah, so that's part of the movement here.
Sorry about that, Marty. We're just trying to have a little bit of fun in here. But you come from a classical database background. How are you liking Fabric so far?
I do really like Fabric. I mean, I guess a lot of people working in Fabric, and probably true yourselves, I've come from that like database background. So they've got like a strong background in SQL. And, a lot of the things you might not know, you might need to find your way around, but you can fall back on that knowledge. And I think I fell back on that knowledge quite a few times in the exams that I've taken. Kind of helped us out. You get a Spark question and you're like, oh, well, I don't really know that, but based on what I know of SQL, I can probably dismiss that, and it looks like it could be this or this, so I'll go for that. And I think that's kind of helped me through a bit. I do actually like database languages in general, and querying, messing around and all that sort of thing. I find it quite therapeutic.
Have you enjoyed Kusto? Have you been digging into KQL?
I dug into Kusto quite deeply about 3 or 4 years ago when it was in Azure Data Explorer, which obviously is still around. And yeah, I kind of find it a bit interesting. People go, oh yeah, it's very like SQL-like, and obviously it doesn't look like SQL because it's got those little bars.
Yeah.
But the way the queries are built, you've got a table and then you're saying from wherever or whatever, and so that you can kind of see that's kind of like SQL. But then when you get onto the more the more advanced stuff, it's like way more powerful than SQL in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is sort of like machine learning stuff. You can plug Python stuff in there. But the thing is, you've got to be doing languages all the time. I spent like a bit of time doing this, and then I didn't do it again for about a good few years. And you're like, oh my God, I've got to learn it again. It's like doing PowerShell. Like I one stage of my career, I done a lot of PowerShell, and then I never did it for about 2 years. And then I was like, oh yeah, I've got to do it again. How do I do that?
So I would contend that KQL is so akin to SQL that while it's not identical, it's the type of thing you can pick up in a weekend when all of a sudden you find that you have a direct need for it. Because like the times I've had to use KQL is when it's all of a sudden like, oh crap, now I have to go through log analytics to figure out what the heck is wrong with something that's worked right for years. Now I have to go in and explore, and it's just familiar enough that I can pick it up in the span of a 4-hour troubleshooting session to figure out the problem. That's my use
Yeah.
case for KQL.
You know, I definitely think it's right. If you've got that strong SQL background, you can probably pick up most languages quickly. It's like, I'll use the example of DAX. People say DAX, it's very SQL-like as well. And again, you can pick that up mostly quite quickly. But as with KQL as well, there's kind of a tipping point where, you know, your knowledge kind of gets a bit sketchy, and you get into more advanced topics like filter context and all that sort of thing, and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to have to learn something more advanced there.
It comes down to the tipping point of when you need to understand the underlying engine. As soon as you
think
need
you're
to
right there, yeah,
understand that
definitely.
engine, then you
Sure.
really have to learn the language.
Yeah. I sat down for I went on a course with Marco Russo, and yeah, I was loving it. For like, well, I came out of that course and I was like, right, yeah, I'm a DAX expert. I can do everything. And I never touched it again for about a year, and now I'm like back to square one. I may as well not have gone on the course in the first place.
No.
So I would
Yeah, that's-
contend that I went through a similar thing, except for what I learned at the end of it is I should not be a DAX expert. I should be a modeling expert. And then I don't have to worry about any of this DAX crap. And I could just Google it and chat GPT any DAX I need. If I've got a good model, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. I think you're definitely right there. Like, sort of my skills like on the back end sort of thing. So everywhere from ingesting to modeling, that's what I'm good at. And then once I start getting into like the visualization, which takes me onto the DAX, I'm kind of sort of starting to get out of my depth a little bit. I can do it, but it's taken me a long time. And like I say, my dashboards, they ain't pretty.
Yeah, I'm gonna like throw a word of warning out for Johnny. If he thinks in DAX, that's one of the 12 signs that you're properly prepped for institutionalization. So that's the type of thing you don't want to necessarily be letting people know. You know, we like you free and wandering the earth, and I don't want you to be locked up there, Johnny. So I apologize. But Marty, you've done a lot of work recently and talking about, like, because of your DBA background, you've done lots when it comes to like integrating data and like bringing data from other sources, and real-time intelligence is just one of those. Can you tell us like some of your experiences there?
Yeah. So I've only really recently been getting back into real-time intelligence again, and I've kind of brought that up mainly out of maybe a presentation I do a lot, which is talking about like basically getting data into Fabric. So getting data from source systems into OneLake, and most of those ways involve like, you know, just getting static data basically and pulling it into OneLake or Power BI or whatever it is. And one of those ways is like real-time analytics. And that sort of sits on its own. There's like only one real way to do it in Fabric, through like things like event streams. So, and that was getting a lot of questions. You know, I think there's a lot of people around who've done batch data, who've, you know, dragged data in from SQL databases, CSV files, all that sort of thing. It's quite common to do that sort of thing, and but it's not that common to get data from like real-time sources. It's probably becoming more common, but there's still a lot of people who've not really dealt with that stuff, and it just, people are curious, and they ask questions about it. And in my presentation, I just like glossed over it almost. You know, I'd mentioned 11, 12 ways of getting data into SQL. That was just one of them. But I was only spending like 2 or 3 minutes talking about it. So I decided to put it in its own presentation and, you know, just go over all the different components that people may be not familiar with, and talk about them Yeah.
So I'm implementing one of my first real-time feeds. Actually, just went into my test environment last night. So
Oh, right. Nice one. Nice
yeah,
one. So you've been doing lots of event streams and event houses and all that sort
I
of
wouldn't
thing.
say no. I wouldn't say lots. I used a very simple use case. We have these feeds of files that come in for our purchase orders that the vendor acknowledges them. And we have somebody that watches our dashboard in the mornings, morning to mid-afternoon, to make sure all of the places actually put their POs in, they all got acknowledged. So we want to get that data to them as fast as possible. So we were using going back periodically to the storage account and trying to process those files. Well, since we had something else putting it onto the storage account, we used the real-time the event stream, basically, because you could get the events from the storage account. And we said, okay, now we see this event for this file on this storage account. That feeds in. I then do a materialized view, and then that gets onto my report. From my initial testing, it looks like we're going to get it there much faster than our notebook process. So
Nice.
So that's
Yeah, you know
interesting. No, just to piggyback on this, Martin, I know Gartner has come out and said that by 2026, they're expecting like somewhere in the neighborhood of 95% of data feeds to move over to real-time, a real-time data feed. I love it when Gartner says some of these things because I think they're very visionary and they're trying to, I mean, they said this like 2 years ago, right? So they're trying to like predict the future, and sometimes they're spot on and sometimes they're off. One of the challenges I see going into 2026 with real-time intelligence is the always on nature inherently has a constant running process that has a cost that gets associated with it. And then when I think about our alternatives, so there's constantly on and doing stuff, right? That's on one side of the spectrum. On the other side of the spectrum is my daily batches, right? Uh, but in the middle are micro batches. And I've run micro batches very successfully, and you run it every 5 minutes or whatever the case is, to trigger your loads so that you're constantly out there churning and refreshing stuff on a small trickle. But then you never ever have to leave stuff always on, right? It's just, hey, whatever I'm processing in that time period. What's the line for you, and why would you say, hey, I should go from micro batch to real time?
Well, I guess, I guess traditionally, let's just talk about big batches to start with, and then we'll go on to micro batches. So I guess, traditionally people might get a whole load of data from their SQL database, for instance, pull it in, process it. To do it once a day, it might take an hour, but, in the middle of the night, it's all gone. But at some stage, I've seen places where that processing takes over 24 hours. So they're back into the next load. And I mean, they've probably done something wrong, or they're getting a massive amount of data and they're taking too long to process it. But whatever. My point is that like that gap between getting the data first time, processing in it, and getting it again, when that processing becomes longer than the gap, you probably got a bit of a problem. And so I take your point about, you might get it every minute. You might get small things every minute. But then when it's taking you over a minute to process, you're starting to get in trouble. And you've got to do smart things to maybe accomplish getting all that data in. So it's kind of queuing up. And you've got to do something about it. But then,
I think that makes a lot of sense, Marty. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, if you're going to run a process for 24 hours, find processes that run that long, right? Then it makes sense to be processing it in a stream-based fashion. I would also contend that potentially there's a value that exceeds the cost of running for 24 hours for a notification to be responding to that notification as it occurs, then all of a sudden you're justifying your cause. So for me, for example, it's like air flight control, right? Like
Hmm.
you can't wait 5 minutes to tell an airplane like you're on a collision course, right? You have to know that right away, right?
Yeah.
Manufacturing, where if they measure like downtime in the hundreds of thousands of dollars per minute, then it makes a ton of sense, right? And there's other use cases like that where all of a sudden the cost of the processing is not the predominant concern. It's the cost of the impact of not responding when something's an issue, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, if you've got something sitting there listening all the time for
Mhm.
your events coming in, sometimes you're going to get events going really slowly, and you don't need much sort of processing power to pick them up. And at other times, you've probably got them coming at you really fast, and you probably need to scale up and get a bit more computing power, and that can queue as well. So it can queue and process. Obviously, like the point you just made, you don't really want it queuing. You want to scale up so you can ingest it in the real time, basically, which is what we're doing. And then I kind of like the data activator in there, where you can examine your stream in real time, and you can look for values. Is my value higher or lower than a certain point, where we're just looking for like maybe one particular value. Or you can do it over like a window of are my values in a certain period? Are they within a certain band? And if they go outside that band, you might want to alert, so you can look at like stateless things and also stateful things, where you're relying on the whole window of events.
Now, can you explain to us why would you use data activator versus real-time intelligence, or how they fit into the architecture?
Oh, okay. So data activator really, it's actually really part of real-time intelligence. So
Mhm.
when you've got your stream of data coming in, so I guess you've got something that's emitting data constantly, and let's say that's sitting outside of Fabric. It might be an event hub, it might be Kafka, or it might be something that's sitting outside Fabric, and it's producing data. So it's spitting data out all the time.
Mhm.
And obviously you need a connection to it so it can throw data towards you. And then when you've got the data, when your event stream has got the data, it's obviously got to pass it on to something else after that. And so it's got a couple of options what it can do. It can
Mhm.
put it straight to your KQL database, sort of your event house. It can do that. It can throw it to OneLake if it likes, but it can also not put it to storage at all, but it can put it to this Fabric activator. So it sends the stream of data into activator, and activator is examining that stream and going, looking for an event or a piece of data or whatever. And once it sees that piece of data, it will act upon it. So, and it can act by sending an email, sending a Teams message, but it can also act by starting another process, maybe power automate flow, start some process to maybe take some corrective action, or start some other process that your business kind of dictates that you do. So I think that's kind of quite cool.
Yeah, that's very cool, because I think one of the big asks forever has been, well, I love your Power BI reports, but I don't want to look at them, right? I want your data to tell me when I should have to go look at the report and what I should look at, right? So is that one of the big use cases you see with data activator, is that type of thresholding and notifications?
Yeah. I think that's the main point of it, like threshold monitoring, notifications, all that sort of thing. Certainly that's the main purpose that I've used it for. Obviously, that you can get then real-time dashboarding,
Mhm.
and when I say real-time dashboarding, that's an element of RTI, real-time analytics, that's kind of totally separate from Power BI. Obviously, it's a dashboard, but it's not
a dashboard, but it's not a dashboard.
You can put it in Power BI.
It's a dashboard that even I can knock up, like, you know. Yeah, you know, they're probably not as pretty as some of the Power BI dashboards you can do. They're reasonably basic, but they're not that basic.
But just to be clear,
your audience. Sorry.
Yeah, just to be clear, Power BI has the concept of dashboards, like where you pin visuals from a report.
Okay. Yeah.
But RTI also has a concept of dashboards, right? Which is
everybody calls Power BI reports dashboards.
Right, and everybody calls Power BI reports dashboards.
Yes.
So just to kind of put what the underlining confusion is that we're kind of talking about. It's not a Power BI report. It's a real-time intelligence dashboard, which is kind of a separate thing.
But you're
quite right there, Christina. I guess lots of people use them interchangeably.
Yeah.
You know, a report, a dashboard. Yeah, I get it.
We're at the point we call everything dog. So
dogs.
Yeah. So
it's an old inside joke on my side. I do that with my team. Whenever I'm trying to explain a concept and we get into too much of the details, I rename the concept dog. And then it takes them away from everything.
Is that why we created the capacity on our live stream? We named the capacity dog, and now I have a fabric capacity called dog sitting out in my Azure subscription.
Because I went to my normal thing while we were on a live stream. You asked, and I gave it dog.
It is a good point, though. You know, I mean, just computing in general, there's a lot of overloaded words in there, like, you know, snapshots or dashboards, and it's like I could interpret it as one thing, you could interpret it as another, like, you know. And I think when you do any kind of project, you've just got to baseline that sort of language and go, you know, if I say a dashboard, this is what I mean. If I'm talking about a report, I mean this. You know, it sounds really basic, but it stops like all like, you know, confusion and people misinterpreting things and finding out at the last minute that, oh, I thought you meant that, and someone else thought you meant this.
The Tower of Babel all over again, right? We gotta be speaking the same language to get stuff done.
Like, what is a data model? Bum bum bum.
Yeah. So Marty, you brought up about you know, you got your event stream coming in, and then you could send it to like Data Activator and let Data Activator look for something. But in setting up the whole event streams and the destinations, you could even do transformations, filtering before you send it to some destination. But I kind of implied the way you said it that, or at least maybe the way you've done it, you let something like Data Activator do some of the transformations, or do you use those transformation setups inside when you're setting up the event stream?
So obviously you can take the event stream and you can apply transformations to it. A lot of transformations with like no code transformations, as you say, you can just like pick them, like aggregate or look for a value or filter, you know, all the kind of standard things that you would expect to do in any kind of data system. But you can also do a SQL transformation. So, you know, you can get creative and take ownership and do your pro coding rather than low coding. So you've got options there. And I think there's a lot of new things coming in to the real-time landscape. Like you can now do schemas. So when your producer spits out data, you know, it might be spitting out five pieces of data all at the same time. And you go, that's a schema. It conforms to this. So when I get it, I expect to see 5 pieces of data. And if it doesn't conform to that schema, then it's not what I want, or something's gone wrong.
Does that go to like an error queue or something then, or?
Yeah. You can do what you want with it. Obviously, you know, ignore it, alert, take some sort of action. I haven't particularly used schemas so much. I probably, I haven't really done any major real technical work with it. I'm probably in my infancy of looking at it, but I'd encourage anyone to kind of pick it up and have a look. And I guess one of the issues here is if you were doing batch data, say you wanted to learn batch data, you probably have no problem going to find a CSV file or a database or some sort of source that you wanted to bring in yourself. It's quite easy to do. But getting a real-time source is probably a bit more difficult. So there are real-time sources that Microsoft make available on the real-time hub, like stock market data and weather data. And New York taxi data, they make that available for everything. And so you can just plug into those. I think they're just event hubs. But the point is, there's a real-time source there that you're kind of given that you can just hook into. So you don't have to go and create your own events hub or your own real-time source, which would probably be a reasonably time-consuming exercise, or certainly more time-consuming than creating the CSV.
So I've been building...
and much more expensive and difficult. And hey, we are at on our side we're at 8:01, but on your side, that means this is the first Fabric Saturday
I'm at 12:01.
Fabric Saturday.
Happy New Year! Oh wait, no.
Happy
Too right. And there's my date, the 8th.
Oh, there we go.
The 8th.
There we are. It's official. And officially,
that's cool.
We'd like to thank Nero Gum, the source of all of our caffeine, B vitamins, L-theanine, for getting us up and going. If you want to get some Nero Gum, head over to nerogum.com. Put in discount code KratosBI for the classic 0% off because they are not a sponsor of this show, and we just simply like their product and we plug it at the half-hour mark. So.
Helps you get started in the day and helps you stay up for the next day.
Ooh, there we go.
Best day ever.
Wow.
Sorry, Marty. You didn't know we do free promos for obscure products, did you?
I was actually taken by surprise there, Chris. I actually thought it was a genuine advert for a minute.
No, I like Nero Gum. It's akin to having a cup of coffee, but I don't have to go to the bathroom 30-40 minutes later or whatever it is. So
fair enough. I might I'm not going over to the Past Summit this year, which is in 2 weeks. So I know a couple of people are going over. I might ask them to bring me some back, Chris.
There you go. Yeah.
We'll miss you, Marty.
Yeah.
I know. Are you going there, Christina?
As long as I can get a flight there.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I used to be a regular at the Past Summit. I think I went to my first one in 2011, and I probably went every year up to, probably missed 2017, and then obviously stopped with around COVID, and I've been to 22, 23, and I think I've missed 24 in this year. So, yeah, sloping off.
But Jared, you're going, aren't you?
Yep. Yeah, I'll be at Summit again too. I must have just missed you, Marty, because last year was my first time going to Summit.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's a really enjoyable place to go. I mean, aside from the learning that you do there, meeting people, I've made a lot of good friends there, and I met people from a lot of places around the world. And I guess that happens in all communities, but I think the SQL community in general is a great community. Yeah. Probably one of the top ones in the IT world.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, that's a great point. I think it's the data community in general.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we're in IT, but we're such a small fraction of IT, right? We're like data science gets all the love, and before that, we almost got love, and then all of a sudden AI started getting all the love. And before all of that, it was the app developers and the Python coders that got all the love. So we were like the redheaded stepchilds of IT, and So
we all
that
decided to hang out.
yes,
Not that there's anything wrong with redheaded stepchildren,
Yeah.
but you know.
I hear they're lovely.
100%. Yes.
Yep.
But I think this community is just absolutely wonderful. You go to any of these events, and it's like walking in and seeing a bunch of your friends that you just haven't seen in a
Yeah.
long time. And I'll say one of the challenges I have is because I do this YouTube thing is like people know who I am, but I do not know faces, and I'm horrible with names anyways. So
Oh, yeah.
it's interesting, but I absolutely love going to events. Marty, are you going to FabCon in US in Atlanta?
I very much hope so. I intend to go there. I'll be going over to the MVP Summit, which I think is the week after. So I definitely plan to go for them 2 weeks. I believe there's a sequel Saturday in between, which will be really cool.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, the sequel Saturday Atlanta.
It's gonna be
yeah.
awesome.
So I'd like to go there. I'd like to go there. I've never been to Atlanta. Funnily enough, I was actually talking to someone about this the other week, and they were telling me all the things you could do in Atlanta and all the touristy things. And he pointed out that Atlanta have got a soccer team, or as I would say, a football team. So I say football, not soccer. So I actually started following Atlanta United, and since then they've only won one game.
What have you done?
I know.
Maybe they need more
It's all my
fans.
fault. Well, I'm an Everton fan, really. So Everton aren't doing too well either. So I don't know. I've got a habit of picking donkeys.
It makes the tickets cheaper. There's something to be
Yeah.
said for that.
Well, if there's a football game on while I'm over there, I would like to go to it. It's like when I'm in Seattle as well. I've never ever got to like an NRL game or even a football game over there. But yeah, I know you go to your hockey games, don't you, Chris? Sorry, Kevin. I think didn't you go to a hockey game in Las Vegas last year?
Yeah, John Kursky and I went to see the Golden Knights. It was a blast.
Yeah,
So-
that would have been quite cool. I was in Portland one year, and I went to see a basketball game. That was my first ever basketball game. It was kind of pretty entertaining. I didn't realize it was going to last about 2 hours.
Yeah, all of our sporting events last for multiple hours. So
I know. I was kind of like, I think it's like 4 halves of 14 minutes. I was like, cool, this ain't going to go on very long. 2 hours later, it's like, I think the last like 60 seconds took about 5 minutes.
yeah. All the timeouts, the whole strategic, it's.
How
It's
long
always
does
an
a soccer
interesting
game? I mean, how long does a soccer game take?
Well, it's okay. So it's 90 minutes. It's 2 halves of 45 minutes. And if there's injury time, they do play a little bit of added time. But that's normally it was normally only like 2 or 3 minutes when I was growing up. Now it can be as long as like 10 minutes.
Oh my!
But I've heard that most Americans don't catch on to soccer or football because it's like 1-0 or 2-1 or something. It's not like 15-64 or something like that. There's not like goals all the time. So I don't know if you see it like that.
I think it's been growing in the U.S. because years ago FIFA came here for World Cup, and in order to do it, they had to do an investment in the soccer infrastructure, which then started it growing. And of course, FIFA's coming again, I think next year.
Yeah, they are indeed.
And so there are a whole lot more soccer leagues around, right? Or even just little different ones. But yeah, so Chris, like the whole time thing, like they play 90 minutes, but theirs is a continuously running clock. So like you said, they don't stop the clock.
Okay, I was gonna say that sounds much longer.
No, because like other sports that we do in the U.S., we stop the clock always.
Oh,
right?
I can't watch football. I'm not gonna lie to you. At this point, I can't watch it.
Right, that's why it's like a 3-hour game because we stop the clock so much. But soccer, they don't stop, or football, called it in Marty's terms, right? It's a continuous clock, and then if there was things that the ref said, oh, this should have had some stoppage time, they'll add 1 to 10 minutes onto it. So you're pretty much in for this defined duration.
Okay, so I've got a question then, Marty. If they don't stop the clock, how do you know when you can go to the refrigerator, get another beer, or use the restroom,
They
or
only score
throw a
like
pizza
5
in the
goals,
oven?
Chris. You got
Well,
lots
Come
of time.
on, man.
here's what you do. Here's what you do. You leave the room, go to the toilet, go to get a beer, whatever. And normally there's a goal been scored while you're out of the fridge. Like, you're around the corner, out the way of the telly, and like there's an equalizer or something. Oh my God, I shouldn't have got him.
They still do instant replay, Chris. They still do
Okay,
instant
all right.
replay for the big plays.
So you just miss it.
too
You
right,
just
too
like
right.
the one goal of the show or of the game. You're just gonna miss it because you went. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Probably pause it, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, you watch it like how I watch football. I start the football game late, pause it,
Oh.
and then fast forward through all the different stoppages.
But yeah, I guess we're like talking real time analytics and that sort of thing. So it's always interested me, how they keep all these statistics about sport. Like, after 5 minutes, like, oh, certain percentage has been played in this half, certain percentage in that half. This player's touched the ball 5 times, another one's not touched it. Like, it's like, how are they doing that? It's like, I used to think about this, like, 10, 20 years ago, before like all this techie stuff came out. It's a little man sitting there going, oh, he touched the ball, it's played in this half. I don't know how are they keeping track of that. Obviously now we kind of know for all this AI and
with real-time intelligence, it makes it much easier to track those, right?
Yeah, too right. All these things. I guess that, I don't know. Have you got something inside the ball to know as it crossed the goal line? They actually do need that, because that has been controversial in football quite a few times.
Really?
Has the ball crossed the line?
Oh, interesting. I'll say I'm in Milwaukee, and so the Brewers is our like home team. I know someone who for about 5 to 8 years was at every home game training an AI around like what's going on the screen every time. So like it was training the computer like, okay, hey, that was a hit, and so it was caught, or these were bounces, and he was on a computer like manually entering that information until the AI was finally able to pick up. But he was doing that in the early aughts, and now it's all AI driven from all of his input and other people that were doing the same thing. So very interesting thing.
Yeah, too right. Yeah, it's amazing the sort of things you can even bet on nowadays. Like the first throw in, the first, when will the ball go out, all that sort of thing.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And then if you see, let's see, what is this one you just put up?
Arsenal is apparently hiring a data engineer. So,
oh yeah,
you know what?
yeah.
I was just about to bring that up. Like, for that looked at an absolutely fabulous job. I mean, for any sports fan, regardless if you support Arsenal or not, that would be a fantastic job. And I'm sure they're going to be inundated with people wanting to work there.
100%.
But I want to bring this one up too, because
Yeah.
Miss Belinda brings us into something that we kind of could come back on track. So our friend Sue runs marathons, and so she came into the States. She came up to Chicago and ran a marathon. And then when we found out that she was there, they had different live feeds coming up on their website to tell you what position they were in, and different places. And I think people were watching it on YouTube and stuff like that. But back to the real-time analytics, I think like in her number bib or something, right? There was some trackable device. And I think I keep hearing different things about, the equipment in different sports and stuff like that they're putting these trackable devices in, which then feeds into that real time, right? That you're kind of saying was amazing, right? Marty, was, they could tell that this player touched the ball, which seems to be maybe video analytics, in real time. But other sensors to tell you where things are at and stuff like that.
Yeah, in football, I know that's becoming a bigger thing. I remember seeing one of the sportscasts I saw recently where they were calling a game. You could see like one of the players threw a football into the stands, and you could see like it only took about a minute or two after that, and Artie's staff was there with the ball to replace it, because the ball that was thrown into the stands had a tracker in it, and they didn't want the tracker to be lost.
Wow.
So they gave him a
interesting.
football that doesn't have a tracker on it to keep as a souvenir.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Crazy.
So, someone will probably take the ball home, and the tracker will follow him home.
Well, I think, Marty, it's the same thing that they're having with soccer. Is they're starting to be like put the tracker on the football so they can start tracking, did the football cross the line as well, because that's a big thing in American football as well.
And I guess devices like that used to be quite expensive, and I guess they've just come down in price. Like, so you can give them out to like everyone running marathons. I remember I run a marathon probably about 15 years ago, and they give me this little disc that I had to attach to my shoelace, and I think that tells you. Well, it wasn't as advanced as things are today, but every mile or 2 miles or whatever, you'd cross a line and it'd go, yeah, we know you crossed the line, like it took you whatever to run. So all that's pretty cool, but now you're getting like feedback, like professional athletes were getting 20 years ago, you're getting the same treatment.
Yeah.
I started running a marathon 15 years ago too. Still working on it.
You're still doing it.
There's still time, Chris.
I've only run one. I've run quite a few halves and a few 10Ks and things like that, but I've only run one marathon. And I was like, I remember I got home and I just lay on the bed and I was just there for ages. And I decided to get up about 4 hours later and I just couldn't move my legs.
Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the right post-running treatment, to just lay and let everything tighten up.
No, definitely isn't. Like, I didn't know any better.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's so funny.
Much.
But we've been talking about real-time integration and ingesting stuff. And there's all sorts of feeds that we look at when it comes to real-time intelligence. Marty, having done some of this stuff, what kind of guidance or insights can you have around the dangers or things to really watch out for if you're starting down the path of RTI?
Okay, so
sorry, that was a surprise question.
It was It
was. Well, it's a fair enough question. I guess, when you're starting off in anything, you kind of want to draw analogies with other things. And I guess I always, when I explain about event streams in my talk, I always try and make an analogy with a copy data activity in Data Factory. So in the copy data activity, you've got, on the one side, you've got your data source, and on the other side, you've got your data destination. But you're pulling data in from like a static place and you're pushing out to another static place. Whereas you've got the same sort of thing going on here, but you're listening to something that's producing data and then you're passing that on. So, it's not a one-for-one, it's not a like-for-like, but there's definitely an analogy there to be drawn. Another thing is, when you're going into something new, and you don't know the terminology, you can easily pick up misconceptions. And I'll tell you a misconception that I had myself. And having taught a couple of real-time in a day classes, I know other people have this misconception too. And that's about like an event house. So we all know what an event house is. And I kind of...
Well, hang on a second.
The data just...
Hold on, Marty, 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Before we just jump into everyone knowing what an event house is.
Sorry.
Maybe some people don't know what an event house is.
I know. Sorry. My mistake. When I said everyone, I was talking to everyone here. I wasn't actually going to explain the concept.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, good.
Yeah, I wasn't going to leave people hanging. Okay, so obviously you're going to put your data to a data store, and that data store is going to be a KQL database. Lots of the documentation that you read, it talks about putting the data to an event house. So the natural conclusion there is for people to think, the event house and the KQL database are one and the same thing. And that's something that I thought as well when I kind of started out doing this. But in actual fact, they're not the same thing. So the event house is actually just basically a container. So an event house can contain multiple KQL databases. So your single KQL database lives in an event house. So when you push your data to the event house, which you are doing, it's going to the event house, but it's ultimately going to a KQL database within the event house. And when you, in real-time analytics, when you create your very first event house, you actually get a KQL database with it. And the KQL database has got exactly the same name as the event house. So I kind of think that leads to and it's a kind of obvious conclusion to draw. But it's like, at some stage, the penny's going to drop and you're going to go, oh, are these both the same thing? But yeah, they're not. So, and again, a container is a massively overloaded word in IT as well. So within that container, within that event house, you can have multiple KQL databases, and you can also have links to other KQL databases that might exist outside of Fabric, and they call those follower databases. So, and then I guess everyone knows about joining cross database queries. I'm trying to say. So we've all done cross database queries in SQL, and you do them in KQL too if you want to. So again, there's a big analogy there too. But
Nice.
I'm sorry if you already knew that. Did I explain an event house well enough there, Chris, or not?
Yes, I think you did. I think a lot of people are still trying to piece this stuff together. And
Oh yeah. And I think I'm probably still trying to piece stuff together myself, and new stuff that's coming out, but I think it's like anything, you just got to dive in and play and make a commitment. And yeah, you're going to get things wrong, and getting things wrong is just part of your learning experience. And I've obviously been doing this for 20 odd years, so I'm not bothered about making mistakes. So long as I don't do it in production, really, it's not too much of a big deal. Oh, and I've made many mistakes in production. Don't get me wrong. I've got the scars from being a DBA in production. Yeah.
The best lessons are paid for, right?
Yes.
One way or another, right?
Yeah.
You could pay for me to go to training, or you could pay for me to make the mistake in production.
Exactly.
Pitch.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, God, I remember when I was, cutting my teeth. I remember I had a process to move data from, I think, from production back to UAT, and I did it the wrong way round, and ended up clearing about 3 or 4 tables from production. And honestly, as soon as I pressed that button and it started deleting data, within like a millisecond, I sussed it out, and I was pressing that button so hard to try and stop it.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't stop.
Yeah, we've all had that experience, and it's like, yeah, that's the worst feeling, because you hit that button to say go, and you go, wait, I know I just messed it up for production.
I know.
No.
Oh my God, if I'd have just waited that split second longer, I wouldn't have done that.
You're like, okay, from now on, we back up, and then we do the thing.
Yeah.
We back up, and then we do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess processes come into IT a lot more than it has like when I was sort of cutting my teeth. It was very kind of ad hoc, I guess if you work in small organizations, yeah.
No, it still is. Yeah, I think it takes a really disciplined, like CIO, a VP, somebody to implement and hold people accountable to a process. Because I think a lot of people just want to get stuff done.
I think that's also going to be, or one of the evolutions companies go through, is adding in discipline, but then also learning how to relax on that discipline.
Yeah.
Because that is the discipline that breeds slow, inefficient IT processes where, hey, how long does it take to get an IT project in place? Well, 36 to 48 months, right? Like, you're 3 to 4 years away from deploying anything you want, because IT has implemented so many change controls in place that the number of review boards that you have to go through, and change control boards that, like, you
Mhm.
can't get anything material through unless you're constantly doing greenfield development, and then that
You
just creates the sprawl of IT. So
you have
that's a
to pass the
maturity thing.
Lego brick to everybody in the room before you can put it on something. And sometimes you need to be able to build it, look at the instructions, and go, "Oh shoot, that's the wrong piece," and
Right.
swap it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to do that.
Yeah, and then you end up getting like shadow IT. People are like, oh,
Yep.
IT, it's going to take them a year to put. So they get their own
Yes.
Excel spreadsheet or their own Power BI desktop and,
People find a
do it
way.
themselves.
Well,
People gotta get their jobs done. They're gonna find a way.
Yep. And the question is, are they going to find a way using something like Access or Excel or simple email?
Mm.
Or are you going to give them an environment where they can use production, pro grade tools and capabilities so that it can be monitored, it can be observed, and IT could more easily take ownership of it one day when it
Mhm.
becomes important? So I think that's the big challenge that we talk about, or I've been talking about lately with companies, is enabling that. But Marty, it has been a blast having you on. We're so grateful that you stayed up until Fabric Friday or Saturday.
I made it. I don't normally stay up till 12:30, believe me, but just for you, Kevin, Christina, Jared, it's been a pleasure.
Well,
We're grateful.
We appreciate it.
Likewise.
yes, and thank you so much. As we're starting to head out of this stream, is there any parting words of advice you'd give for the people who are watching this at home?
I guess we've been talking about RTI. I would say, I'd say the majority of people watching this have probably not played with RTI. Just a guess. I'd say go in and have a play. Go, open Fabric. Go to the real-time hub. You'll see probably a load of streams that you could probably use.
Mhm.
Go in, have a play. There's plenty of documentation you can do to mess around. There's lots of things on GitHub. Give it a go. You might do something today and you're like, oh my God, I really messed up. And you leave it for like a month and then go back to it and you'll have that light bulb moment. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I just get used to it because I think it's probably growing. And like you said, Chris, at the start, I think Forrester said there's going to be a lot of real-time analytics coming up in the next couple of years. So I think if you get into it now, you might be ahead of the game.
Yeah, that's
Good
spot on.
advice.
Marty, where are you speaking next?
My next is with Definity. So, Reza Rad, he runs a session down here, Definity. So it's in Auckland, it's in Sydney, and it's in Melbourne. At the end of November, the start of December. So I will be doing at least two of those. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, fantastic.
And you should all come down and visit. A great
It's on
opportunity
my list.
to go down under.
Yes.
Divinity is on my list for international conferences, so I'll have to check
Oh,
it out.
nice. I'm looking forward to seeing you down there, Christina.
I love it.
As soon as they get that intercontinental, travel
Train.
down, like teleporting.
Chris needs a portal.
Yeah, I would really prefer a portal. I did see that. What was it? SpaceX had a shuttle that went from the U.S. to Australia in 36 minutes, and I thought, 36 minutes, I could do 36 minutes. So if that shuttle becomes like production, like human carrier ready,
terrifying.
well, it's the size of a skyscraper, and they got it there in 36 minutes. So
what could go wrong?
Right.
Yeah, what could go wrong with that much thrust?
Yeah.
Speed.
Your brains might still be in the U.S., but eventually
Right.
they will catch up. Yeah.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
Literally.
Well, thank you all so very much for joining the live stream. we're gonna see if this outro button works because Restream's been playing games today, and so this is about to be really funny. Or we'll see you next week. So peace.
All right, cheers.
Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.